What's up, guys? This is Ethan here, and welcome back to another video. Today, we are going to be doing our CDL roster predictions for the 2023-2024 season. There's been a lot of confirmed rosters already, but we're going to go ahead and fill in the rest of where I think players are going to go. If you guys enjoyed this video and enjoy the Call of Duty content, make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what your roster predictions will be. Let's get right into the video. All right, guys, so here we are. Here's our list of how we are going to predict all of the upcoming rosters. I will include the confirmed rosters and as well as the rumored rosters because those are kind of easy to make. But the rest of these are going to be rosters that I think will happen and more so give my reason why. So first, let's just get out of the way. Let's get out the confirmed rosters that we know. So for the Atlanta FaZe, I'm going to try to do them like in order of roles, like left being main AR, flex, then both subs. So for the Atlanta FaZe, we know we have Celium, Draza, Abizi, and Simp. And I think this team is instantly a top three team. They are nasty in every way. They have a lot of the superpower, like kind of abilities, because you have Celium, who a lot of people believe that Celium and Slasher were not gelling last season because you have the slower Celium, slower Slasher. So moving Celium to the main AR, having Draza come in, who's a fast paced, kind of in your face quick search and destroy player and really fast and good on respawns. I think that's really going to help their pacing and him being that, like having that kind of momentum, being someone that feel like Celium and Slash were both staying back, they're hitting lanes, not really up in your face, which had a hard time allowing Simp and Abizi to be able to fully get up in people's business. You feel what I'm saying? But Draza, however, Draza is able to have that attacking force as well, which allows Simp and Abizi to also be able to have that attacking force because that's less attention on them. I think this team's nasty. I think it's going to be a very exciting phase team to watch. There are going to be a lot of boos. They might officially be the most hated team in the CDL, but you know what? You got to have a villain, and I think that's what they adopted. That mindset. They've already been the villain, but I think they're willing to take it on again, bringing in Draza. So I think this is going to be a pretty nasty team. I believe they'll get a championship at least some point next season. And yeah, so they are the first official confirmed roster. The second confirmed roster is the Toronto Ultra, and Toronto is on top of the world right now. If I'm Toronto, just like FaZe, I mean they are just living their best life. They kept the core three of Insight, Scrap, and Kleenex. They dropped Hixie, but picked up Envoy. And in terms of player for player swap, I think that's the biggest difference and biggest improvement they've made. I really like Hixie as a player, and I really like his mindset as he plays. But Envoy is a world champion. Envoy is one of the best SMGs in the game. He's got a bright mind. He's a good leader. He's got good comms. And I think that's really going to be great for Toronto because guess who else has really good leadership and comms? Insight. And then they have their all-time talent, Scrap. Kleenex is insanely a fast SMG, and he needs to have that SMG that's able to hit routes, be able to get behind people, so he can just kind of do his thing. So I think this Toronto team is nasty, and I look forward to watching them play as well. They are in that top three category for me, and so without a shadow of a doubt, I think that this team is insanely good and can win a championship next season as well. All right, so those are the only two confirmed rosters. Now, Boston has three confirmed players on their roster, but they have not released the full roster. So I'm going to go ahead and just go back to this optic category right here, and then we're going to go down, and then we'll get to Boston, even though they have three confirmed players. New York has three confirmed players as well. So we'll get to them in a second. But first, we're going back to the optic. So with optic for confirmed, where's he at? We know we have Dashy as the main AR. The rumored right now, almost confirmed, is that Kenny is going to be running the flex. And then we are going to have Shotzi and Pred at the SMGs. On paper, this team is absolutely insane. Like on paper, this might be better than both rosters, you would think. The only thing that I have some doubt with is Pred and Shotzi are both that roaming, kind of like go crazy sub player. What I mean by that is like when you see them going crazy, like they're getting a highlight reel. Like they are just running around, going on 7 spree, and the teammates are just in a 3B. 3v3 with the rest of the map or whoever they haven't already killed. And so it's like you see Shotzi kind of go rogue where it's like don't think it's wrong for a player to go rogue. I'll clarify that. But going rogue, having more than one player go rogue, that's where you start having those issues and stuff. And so both of these players in their respective previous seasons had moments where they would just go rogue, where it's like I said, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when two players are, and what I mean by going rogue is just, leaving point, chasing kills, because yes, getting kills will help you, and that's why when a guy's feeling himself, let him do it. But having both of them, one of them's really gonna have to learn to play it back a little bit. I think it's gonna be end up being Shotzi, considering Pred is the big name free agent. They brought him in. Pred's had a better season, in my opinion, than Shotzi last year. So we'll see how that connects and how that chemistry goes. I think Kenny's going to fit the flex role well. Kenny's played a main AR in the CDL era. He's played a sub in the CDL era. So he's able to bounce back and forth. Kenny, as they're saying from the LA Thieves, he has a nice, strict, style of practice. He's very disciplined. And so I really think that's going to be good for this Optic team. And Dashy's just Dashy. He's insanely good. Everyone had those issues with his work ethic, but I thought last season Dashy seemed like, especially from like process episodes and you know things I've heard, Dashy was like a really good teammate on point. So Dashy's Dashy, Bruce. But I think this team is a of the top four teams in my opinion. I think they could be number four, but this top four list can take out any of them at any given time. So next we have the New York Subliners, and we have three confirmed on the roster, and then we are rumored for the fourth, but it's kind of almost confirmed, especially with recent dropping of Priesta. And that is Skies, Sib, Kismet, and reigning MVP Hydra. So I actually could maybe put Optic as the third best team in that top three category and put New York at four. And I know New York just won champs and then hypothetically upgraded at a player. But when you win champs, everything's clicking. You have good team chemistry. Everything is going good in that regards. And so dropping Priesta and picking up Sib, yes, in terms of slaying ability, you have upgraded. Sib is a better slayer than Priesta. In terms of selfless play, I'm not 100% sure with Sib. I'm not denying that he's a great teammate, great player. But Priesta, obviously, I don't think it bothered him that he dropped a couple stinkers in even the grand finals and in that whole champs tournament, because he knew he was making the right plays and putting himself in an area to allow his teammates to succeed. Which, when you have Hydra and Kismet, Kismet won, I think, champs MVP. Like, they just went off. And so Priesta was really good at putting them in positions to succeed, and they succeeded. I think New York just panicked a little bit because they hear the phase rumor roster. Toronto Ultra's upgraded. Optics got a super team on the horizon. And so they thought we could get a move. We need to make a move. I think how they did it kind of was a little dirty, according to how it seems to have been done. But they dropped Priesta for Sib, and we'll see how that goes. But I really think this is still a very, very, very good team. I just don't put them in that top three category anymore. So we shall see how that goes. Next, we have the Boston Breach. And I really like the Boston roster that we are seeing so far, and I cannot wait to see their fourth. You'll see who I think they'll pick up today. But in Main they have Slasher. They bring in World Championship Priesta, and they're going to be building around SMG Snoopy. So now this is the easiest three. This is the first time on this list I wasn't able to immediately post a fourth because there are many rumors, but there's not like a set in stone rumor. Of all the people dropping rumors and leaking news for rosters, Kenny is confirmed, Sib is confirmed. So it's like it was easy for me to put those up. But now there's still some up in the air for this Boston fourth, and I'll tell you who I think and why. So I'll tell you straight up that the two players that I've been going back and forth on were Hook and Standy, because they both have veteran play and ability. But if I pick all of these, there's even one more addition that I almost thought about putting, but at the end of the day, I just didn't think it would be that big of a move. But between those, I don't know. It really also just depends on how is Snoopy gonna play. What kind of player is he gonna be? Because we didn't get to see a lot of him in champs. And so we know he came in for the SMG positions and they have him playing as an SMG position. But it really just depends on like if he's gonna be that like fast pace, moving around the map, slaying SMG, then I could see a really good pickup being Bans. Someone who plays slower, is able to have really good, strategy with the game. Maybe him and Slasher might, I wouldn't say clash, but just Bans makes a lot of calls on the map. That's just his style because he's good enough to do it. He's got a great mind of the game. But so does Slasher. And so I could see that maybe conflicting. So I'm going to stick with my original pick. We're going to put Standy on the Boston Breach. Standy's a great SMG. He had he was playing good on Toronto, but Toronto just felt there was some beef with it, but they felt that there was just a chemistry issue, so they dropped Standy. Standy got picked up by Vegas and helped Vegas make the best run we've ever seen Vegas make, almost making champs, winning matches. Vegas was lining up against teams and winning. I mean, I don't know what more you can ask. Like that was insane. And so him and Clayster, I think, were the two best, but Temp and TJ were playing really well on Vegas. So I think Standy would be a really good pickup for Boston. He's kind of like got that high potential as well. Snoopy's a rookie. I would count him as a rookie for this upcoming season as well. So he has a high ceiling, or you really don't know, but Slasher can really help him develop because of his veteran ability and Slasher being around one of the oldest players right now in the league, and he's around World Championship Priesta, and Standy has been around the block. He's been a part of a few championship wins, so I really believe that Standy can contribute here and really help out with this team. So I got Slasher, Priesta, Snoopy, and Standy for the Boston Breach. So I'm going to go ahead and throw up the rumored roster for the LA Thieves, the one that I've been hearing. And I'm trying to remember the fourth. I know for sure we've heard Cammy, probably at the main AR. We've heard Afro, probably running the sub. I'm just throwing them up there right now. And Joe Deceives, which I don't remember what role Joe Deceives played last season. I think he played sub. Yeah, he played sub SMG. And I think I heard, did I hear who? I'm trying to look at the faces so I can remember. When I see their face, I feel like I'll remember who I was listening. Because I heard another name be thrown out for the LA Thieves rumored roster. Oh, yeah. I just remembered who the flex would be on this team. I'd put Ghosty on the LA Thieves. I'd put Cammy, Ghosty, Afro, and Joe Deceives. So I just thought of that. I just remembered. That's my LA Thief rosters. I think that's a good enough. That's the best case scenario for him because you want a team that can compete. And I think Cammy could run a main AR very well. He's been on the flex for recent years, and I think him going to the main AR would be really, really good personally. So Arcides being on the LA Gorillas. Thing is, dude, there's a lot of main ARs. Holy smokes. I could potentially be seeing some role changes from some of these players that are like, you have like those players that, in my opinion, are locks to be playing. Like, I know there's a lot of great uh, challengers players, but like, especially with the LA Thieves confirming this rumor, because it was rumored that they would also be able to bring in two rookies, but this rumor's been leaked and almost confirmed by, Jacob Hale and a lot of these big name sources. And so with me seeing that this is the rumor for LA Thieves, I could very much see a lot of players who played last year still being in the league, which means we may see another season of not a lot of challenger players getting their shot. Now, I'm looking at the challengers players and I'm just thinking like I see good pickups, but I don't see people I'd pick up over certain CDL pros, if that makes sense. And you'll see why I think that in a second. So the next, I'm gonna leave Arcides at LAG for a second. I need more time to think about that. I'm gonna start building up Seattle, and the first one Seattle is gonna be Clayster. I just think he's not gonna return to Legion. I don't think he's gonna go to Minnesota, and I'll tell you why in a second. And I think he's gonna be going to Seattle because he still has it. He's still able to play at a very high level, and I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be on a team. Here's where, since there's not really a lot of rumored rosters, here's where I kind of start just throwing some stuff out there. I'm going to see Awakening joining him as the flex in Seattle. So I think Awakening can run the flex very well because he's ran sub and AR. And I think having that leadership ability from Clayster will really help. Methods, love him or hate him as a player, Methods had a lot of leadership ability in his later years in the CDL, especially when he was on Boston. He was like their leader guy on the team, and he speaks very highly of Awakening and his work ethic, and also Awakening with like when Beth. I'm trying to remember Vanguard Boston when Awakening and Methods were on the team with TJ, and they picked up Vivid, or they dropped. No, they had TJ, and they picked up. It was Nero, and they picked up. I don't know. I actually can't remember the exact Vanguard roster because I know that Capsule, and they dropped Capsule. They picked up. Was it then Vivid? So I think Awakening can really have like a lot of his potential opened up playing with a veteran like Clayster, who's also playing really, really well. This team's gonna move fast, which I think is gonna be really good for him. The SMG I have will be Capsule. I think Capsule stepped in for Florida and did a really, really good job. And I just noticed that the Florida team is not on this list. We'll add them in a second. I think Florida stepped or Capsule stepped in for Florida at the end of the season, and I think that Florida roster wasn't that bad. I think they were a lot better than people give them credit for. And so I would be surprised if they brought in Capsule to be a sub for them. And then for the next sub, I have them picking up Hook. I think this is a really, really good team. Actually, like not maybe a top 3, top 4 team, but this is a team that can cause some upsets and place top 5, top 4 at a tournament a couple times maybe. Got the veteran leader, Clayster, high ceiling, great talent, Awakening, and 2 good SMGs I think are going to balance each other out very well. So I got Clayster, Awakening, Capsule, and Hook going to Seattle Surge. One of my other reasons for that is I don't have Hook going back to LA Gorillas, and I have a different Minnesota Rocker theme in my head. So for the Las Vegas Legion, I'm going to have Accuracy be their main AR because regardless of what some people think, I think Accuracy is still a good main AR. And so I just think his we saw it with Seattle in their champs run that when you have that veteran AR with 3 really good, talented players around him who can slay out, that you can see. Wow, the London team's not on here as well. Just thought about that. You can see that ability to that leadership helps. That's what I'm trying to get at. That leadership helps. And so I think Accuracy, being around some younger talent who can slay out, and even if they're not like younger, because one of the guys I'm gonna throw in there he's been in the league for a good little bit, but he still has good slaying ability. So our flex is going to be Temp. Temp is going to stay on Vegas, but I think Vegas is going to build a competitive team again, and it's going to be able to have the run that they had at the end of the season. I think they're going to be able to replicate it for the next season and be able to have a good team that's going to compete. Their first SMG that I have Vivid joining them. I think Vivid is a lot better than people give him credit for, and I think that he played very well when he was playing. I think there was just a lot of things going on in Boston. They didn't know who they wanted to play. I think they were ready to go ahead and get their rookies out there, and so that's just kind of what happened. And then for the next sub, I'm going to pick up a Seam. So we got Seam and Vivid. Seam's a really good sub player. You didn't see him get benched one time on London. He was a good player all throughout the year. Just a really tough team. They had a lot of things going on too. But Accuracy, Temp, Seam, and Vivid, in terms of the 3 of them, I think there's slaying power there. And then you have Accuracy who can lead this team, good comms, good strategy on S&D. So I really like the idea of this team. All right, so I'm just going to be very honest with you guys. I know that Vickle and Brack are going to be coming back from Florida, and I've heard that they're going to be bringing, which I think since they've banished or not banished, that's a little bit over the top. All right, guys, so we have added Florida and London to the list. Since Florida has abandoned the Miami Heretics swap, as it seems, going back to Florida, it was going to be Vickle and an entire Spanish team. Now they're bringing back Brack, so I think they're going to come back with a more, I'm going to say, North American styled roster with American players are more of a mixture. And so I see Vickle and Brack on the roster. For London, I think it's obvious you keep Nasty. I'm trying to fill in some of the obvious ones real quick first, but I think it's obvious that you bring in Nasty back. I thought he played really well as a flex type player. So maybe seeing a different role could really help him out. But you'll see my London roster here in a minute. So I'm going to be looking here is my oh man, we're running out of space. We're running out of space. I'm gonna go back to one of the original rumored rosters for we're gonna finish LA Gorillas first. All right, I know I'm all over the place, but I'm having a hard time trying to figure out who's gonna go where. We're gonna go back to the original LA Gorillas, and we're gonna go back to the original rumor. We're gonna have RCDs as the main AR, Illy as the flex. I think if RCDs can get one or two players that he really wants, I think that will be something that will help him out. And when RCDs, I think, is feeling it and is wanting to be there, then you'll see the old RCDs come back to form. I just think he didn't recover mentally from getting dropped by FaZe. He went to LAG, I think, for the bag because, no offense, there's no way I thought that roster was going to be a top champs caliber player. And considering RCDs had won champs, competed for champs, he was a championship caliber player. So, but I think having him at the main AR and Philly at the flex will be a pretty good combination. The thing is, though, in my opinion, they're going to need some speed. So I'm going to bring in Nero. Nero can be that fast paced SMG to help them out in a lot of play. And honestly, for the next one, I think I'm going to bring in Bance. Illy and Nero can play fast. RCs can play a faster main AR than most. And so I think Bance coming in, I think that'd be a really good team. I think there'd be a really good search and destroy team, which is what a lot of teams try to go for. I think Bance still has a spot in this league. I don't think he's looking to retire right now, and he's not a challengers player. This guy can play. So I think this could be a really good roster. I don't see him returning to Rocker, which is why I have him going here. And I don't see him going to Florida or London as well. And so I'm going to have him going to the LA Gorillas, supporting Nero. I think Nero could be the best Slayer, and this team can be a really good search and destroy team. We're going to do London's roster. So I have Nasty coming in as the flex. I have Beans being his main AR. So I know right now Beans is still under contract with Boston, but I think Beans has had a really good season. He had some inconsistencies in his first season when he took over, but I think he still has a lot of high potential, and I think everyone knows that. But I think Boston's going to probably try to sell him out, and I think London, with their move to Charlotte, North Carolina, I think they're going to try to make one big move, and I think Beans would be that big move. So I think they're going to pick up Beans and have a duo of Nasty and Beans, and I think that'd be a pretty decent duo. In terms of the SMGs, and like we're saying, there is a lower level. I'm just going to be blunt too. All these challenger faces, like I need a name. I don't know a lot of the challenger faces. I know a lot of names, but I don't know their face. That's also affecting. I think with London, we could be seeing Hixie join as well. He's already, if you look at this team, they're already from there. Maybe not London specifically, but oh, who's that one? Who's the last one? Who's the last one? We got Beans, Nasty, Hixie. They won't even be London anymore. I think I'm gonna do Mac. I think Mac's still a high level player too. I think Seattle just kind of had a rough. I think Predator wanted to be gone, Sib wanted to be gone, and I think to help their stock, I think they just all came together and made a really good push at champs because I have each member of Seattle being on a whole different roster. So for Florida, as I'm thinking more about a SMG type player, I'm gonna put Crimp in that list. I think Crimp had a really good season with Boston. I didn't think he I think in terms of especially when before Snoopy, when Vivid was there, I think he was the lowest one on the team. And they dropped Vivid just to I think try something out. Snoopy came in, did really well. Now he's staying on Boston. I think Crimp had kind of like Beans. I think Beans had a higher ceiling, but Crimp had some really good moments, and then he had some lower moments. He had a few good moments in champs, a few good plays, but then he had stinkers as well. So I think he has another shot in the league. So I'm going to put him in Florida because I have an idea for my Minnesota roster. But so Florida needs another SMG. I'm going to go ahead and do the obvious of some of the Minnesota stuff. I'm going to put this is actually going to be different. I'm going to put Attach at the main AR. I think Attach returns to Minnesota because there's really not a lot of places for him to go unless he changes roles to a flex. I do think Assault is going to get picked up as he flex for Minnesota. I think he had a really good year on LAG. I think he was one of their better, more consistent players. I'd argue at times that I think he was their best player at times. I know that sounds a little crazy, but that's just what I'm gonna say. And so I have Attach, and Assault. Filling out two. We got one spot left on Florida. We got two spots left on Minnesota. You know what? We'll do it. I'll put a challenge plan. I'm gonna put GodRx on Florida, running the AR. We got Bragg on a flex. We got Vickle, and we got Crimp on the SMG. I think this team could be pretty good. GodRx won champs in challengers, and so one of those guys coming up, I can see. Like I said, there's other great challengers players. I probably right here I'm looking at. I just don't know their name, and so that's the only thing that's affecting it. I think we're gonna bring back Fame. I thought Fame had some really good Minnesota Rocker moments, and wasn't Havoc on Minnesota Rocker? I think he used to be on Rocker before he joined Florida. Or I think he joined Florida, went to Rocker, and came back. So you know what? I'm gonna throw one more because I like this guy, and I think it's time for him to get his chance in the league. He's been a substitute player many times, but he's never actually had a CDL official spot on a starting roster. And some of these other guys, yeah, they're up and coming. They're really good. But I think he has been waiting his turn. I think I'm going to give it to Pentagram for the Minnesota Rocket. He'll be their next SMG. So this is my rosters. Some of them kind of just fizzled out at the end of who I thought was going to pick it up. But for FaZe, we got Celium, Draza, Abizi, and Simp. Optic, we have Dashy, Kenny, Shotzi, Pred, Toronto, Insight, Scrap, Kleenex, Envoy. Those are kind of rumored and confirmed. One's rumored, two are confirmed. New York Sky, Sib, Kismet, Hydra, Boston Slasher, Priestess, Snoopy, and Standy, LA Thieves, Cammy, Ghosty, Afro, and Joe Deceives, Rocker, Attach, Assault, Fame, and Pentagram. Legion, we have Accuracy, Temp, Asim, and Vivid. Surge, we have Clayster, Awakening, Capsule, and Hook. London, we have Beans, Nasty, Hixie, and Mac. Florida, which London will be a different brand team next season, most likely. Florida, we have GodRx, Brack, Vickle, and Crimp. Gorilla, we have Arcides, Illy, Nero, and Band. So let me know what you think in the comments below of my list. I very much expect some people to disagree with my comment or my rankings, but I think, more good than bad. There's some of these that I'm even not fully settled on, but I had to put a player down. All right, guys, so that is my roster predictions for the 2023-2024 Call of Duty season. You may disagree with a lot of them. That's okay. Let me know in the comments what you do disagree with or what you agree with on my list. If you enjoy these Call of Duty videos, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.